What is going on? And welcome back into Combat Sports today. My name is Jake Lippman, and I am here with undefeated heavyweight Gabe, the Freight Train Rednose, a friend of the show. Gabe, how you doing today?
Doing great, brother. Thank you for having me on again. It's always an honor.
Of course. And I mean, this is maybe our fourth or fifth conversation, and each one has been the same. Ahead of a big fight, coming off of a big victory, how you feeling ahead of this first main event of your professional career?
Feeling good, not trying to let any pressure get to me. At the end of the day, it's just another fight and another time me going into the cage and going to be getting my hand raised again.
Yeah, absolutely. And your last time in the cage was an opportunity for you to get your hand raised. Another finish on the record. Let's just make it clear. You have never seen a scorecard. You are a finisher through and through. Talk to me about that last win and how that momentum is going to carry you into this fight.
Yeah, man, I try not to think about it too much. I just try to keep my head down, and I just try to work as hard as I can every single day. And, I try to let my actions in the cage speak for me. Like I said, like you said, I had 100% finish rate my entire career, and I'm really going to do my best to try to hold on to that as long as I can.
Absolutely. And if anybody's watched you fight in the cage, they know that's exactly what you're looking for at every opportunity. And in this opportunity, it's probably your biggest test to date. Eric Lunsford, guy that has some LFA background, a little bit of Fury FC background. He's fought a couple big names. Darian Abbey, a recent Dana White Contender Series contestant, I guess we would call it. Beat him in kickboxing. Has fought guys like Austin Lane and Josh Hokett, recent Dana White Contender Series winner. Talk to me about the opponent that you have and kind of how you're preparing for this experience that he brings into the cage, not even to mention that you're up a weight class.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to focus on the task at hand. I've always bumped up in wrestling my entire life. I've always been the smaller guy in all my weight divisions. So bumping up to heavyweight, I'm 235 pounds right now. So it's not like I'm, just some little light heavyweight coming up. I feel comfortable here, and we'll see what he weighs in. I think he missed weight by 5 pounds his last fight and weighed in, I think, at 270. So he could have 35, 40 pounds on me or so. But end of the day, I'm still going to go in there, and it's not going to affect my game plan any. And I'm going to do what I do best, and I'm going to get this guy out of there.
Absolutely. And I know at one point we were talking about maybe you seeing a future at middleweight. Normally you're fighting at light heavyweight for heavyweight now. Talk to me about maybe how your preparation's a little different. Are you bulking? Are you lifting more? What's in your preparation has changed?
Yeah, for sure. An 85 is still very much on the table. It's just going to take time, and it has to be the right opportunity with the right amount of money, and just, gradually me making my way down to that weight class. So I don't see that happening like anytime super soon in the future, but who knows? An opportunity might arise, and I might jump on it. You never know. But typically, yeah, I fight at 205, and I usually walk around about 230-ish anyway. So I've been trying to hit the weights a little bit more, and honestly, I think I'm about 238 pounds right now. So I'm getting a little bit heavier. I wouldn't like to go over 240. I'd like to stay around 240 and, just walk in there at 240 and handle business, and, go back down to light heavyweight after this. This was just a great challenge that got presented to me. It was the first fight that came about. And I said, you know what? It would be awesome to not have to cut any weight this fight, being my first professional main event. That'll take a little stress off me. And I said, so why not? Let's do it. Let's go ahead and fight a heavyweight.
Yeah. And so coming off your last fight, I know you said you wanted to turn around quickly. Ideally, you come out of this fight with no injuries. Would the goal be to have another fight before the end of the year?
Absolutely. That's the plan. Maybe one more in, maybe get this guy out of there, then maybe one more fight before the end of the year. Yeah. I would like that to happen, but 205 for sure. I'm going back down. Unless, the money's good and opportunity arises, I don't really want to fight at heavyweight because, if I do get to call it the Contender Series or the UFC, I'm not a UFC heavyweight. Those guys are massive, cutting from 300 pounds. But like I said, if the opportunity arises and I got a short notice fight or short notice call to jump on the Dana White Contender Series to fight at a heavyweight fight, and obviously I'm going to bite on that opportunity and just try to win the fight, and then for my contract, go back down to 205.
Absolutely. And I know the opportunity is the name of the game. For you in this matchup, I know you're a wrestler, you're a grappler by trade, but you've been working on your hands a lot. Where do you see your opportunities falling in this specific fight?
All areas, I just feel very comfortable in all areas. I know that I'm going to be able to get to my takedown at any time I want, respectfully. I might not get it the first time, I might not get it the second time, but like I said in previous interviews, I have 30 more in the chamber ready to go. And if the first one doesn't put him down, I know one of them will. So I know I'm not worried about that aspect of the game at all. He is an experienced striker. He's a kickboxer. I respect him for one. I'm not overlooking this guy in any way, shape, or form. I respect him. He's coming to bang and he's coming to fight and he's coming to knock my head off. So I'm going to be prepared in all aspects, and I'm ready just to go and get the W however way I need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the best part of what you just said that I really took note of is you got 30 more in the bag. So talk to me a little bit about your cardio. How do you prepare for this? Because, and I'm going to pull an example out. I don't know if you watched LFA the other night, but an LFA early card, Isaiah Gomez, true heavyweight now, but a big name prospect making his pro debut. And he came out shooting a lot of takedowns and he was having success, but he started to slow down. Now he ended up winning that fight, but it was a hard fought decision and you could tell that it wore on his gas tank. So how do you prepare yourself to make sure that your gas tank doesn't wear down?
I work with a great strength and conditioning coach, Dr. Corey Peacock out of Killcliff down in Deerfield Beach, Florida. I've been following his strength and conditioning plan to the T. And I've just been growing up wrestling, bro, a lot my entire life. And your body kind of just gets used to that type of, spike in heart rates and stuff like that. For me, obviously there's in and out of shape, right? In and out of camp. But I just still feel like wrestling is just my natural ability that I've always done. And I just feel super comfortable doing that. So it's kind of like riding a bike for me. I feel like I'm always just going to be able to get to that shot if I need to.
Absolutely. And I think, as you said, it's all those hours and reps in the gym, not just of late, but, from being a kid, that they add up over time.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's been a lot of hours in that wrestling room and jiu-jitsu room.
Absolutely. And all those hours that you've put in have culminated to this moment, your first professional main event with Peak Fighting. Talk to me a little bit about Peak. I know they've been a really good organization to you and it's helping you grow your career. So talk to me a little bit about Peak, because I don't think it's the most talked about American promotion out there.
Yeah, bro. I mean, they're for sure probably the number one promotion in the United States Southwest. I mean, they're right there competing with whoever you want to say is the best. I mean, I've had nothing but a great time and great experience working with Peak and Johnny Ross. And, I'm very blessed that they gave me the opportunity to sign a multi-fight deal with them. And this will be fight number 2 out of 3 with them. And if I don't get picked up, before my contract's over, I honestly plan on re-signing with them and just staying there and, making them my new regional home, because they're extremely professional. They have like literally the best production around. Like, there's no production around Oklahoma or anywhere in the United States Southwest that even comes close to theirs. They hold press conferences. It's just cool. They do a lot for the fighters, and you can tell they genuinely care about pushing the fighters and making them get to that next level.
Absolutely. And that's what we need. And so to have that support system behind you, not just in the gym, but also from, the organization that you're competing with, I'm sure for you, that's a huge benefit and advantage and kind of takes a little bit of the stress off your shoulders.
For sure. I know that I can trust this promotion, and, they're just genuine people who run it. And, I'm very happy with my choice of signing with them, and I'm looking forward to fighting for them again.
That's amazing. That makes me feel very happy to hear, as obviously we've known each other for quite a while and we've seen this journey, along the way. And I can't wait to see what's next for you. And I think that's a really good transition to, well, we know what's next. The goal is the UFC. The goal is the big show, getting gold wrapped around your belt. Talk to me a little bit about those heavier weight classes and kind of how you see your journey as now you're 2 fights in your professional career. How do you see it taking? Because we've definitely seen, fighters with a little bit less experience at the heavier weight classes finding a little bit more opportunity at the UFC level.
For a fact, my name actually almost got thrown into the hat this last go around when that 3-0 guy got dropped out. But long story short, I didn't ended up getting it. And yeah, man, I think I'm right in the mix with 1 or 2 more fights. I believe that I'll get the call to Dana White Contender Series for a 205 or heavyweight fight, whether it's short notice or not. I do believe that I'm slowly getting my name more and more on the radar, and my time is coming, and I just got to be patient and trust God's plan, and it's all going to work out to the best of my ability.
Yeah, and I know we don't want to play the game shoulda, woulda, coulda, but and I'm forgetting his name, and I feel bad, but he's now 4-0. He fought out of Serra Longo. He got that great come from behind third round rear naked choke. I know you're a grappler, and you saw the success he had on the mats. How do you think the fight would have gone if you were in there?
I think I would have got that Brazilian out of there within 1 or 2 rounds. Freddie Vital, I think, is who you're talking about, 3-0
Yes.
light heavyweight. Yes, sir.
Yep. Vidal.
He's game. I respect both those guys, but I still feel like in all aspects of the fight, I would have dominated both of those guys. Truly. I say that as humble as I can. I mean, no disrespect to anyone. But it's hard to, get onto the contender series whenever you're 8-0, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt fighting out of Brazil, and you have one winning record on your entire record, against a guy that's 19-16. I mean, come on, what do you expect is going to happen,
Yeah, and it was a fun fight, maybe a little bit sloppy, but a really fun fight. Showed the heart of both of those guys. And
For
Freddie
sure.
Vital, thank you so much for giving me that name. I was drawing a massive blank on it. But he's now 4-0. He's fighting now on week 10. Yep. I believe we just had week 5. So that's only about 4 or 5 weeks from now. I'm sure you don't need me to say it, but I'm sure you're staying ready in case something happens on that fight in a couple weeks.
For a fact, after I get my hand raised, I'm jumping on the mic and calling Uncle Dana saying, "What's up, buddy? Put me in. I'm 3-0 just like these guys, and I promise you I'm a different caliber of fighter than you've ever seen at 3-0, and give me my opportunity to prove it to you."
Well, give me the 60-second elevator pitch, if you will. Let's say you have extra mic time. What's that sales pitch to Dana sound like?
Dana, I've been in this game for a minute on the amateur scene. I've fought the best of the best, and now I'm working my way up on the pro scene, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get my family what they deserve, and, put me against anybody in the entire world, and I'll prove to you that I belong there, and I'll show you once that opportunity comes.
And we know you're one of the hardest working guys in the room. I know we've talked about this on several of our interviews, but talk to me about some of the guys that you've been working with that have put you into the position that you're into right now.
Yeah, of course. Long term or short term?
Let's talk about short term for this fight in particular.
Short term, yeah. Okay. This fight camp, I just got back from Springfield, Missouri, which is about 5 hours to the northeast of me. I went up and I trained a lot with a new UFC upcoming light heavyweight, Julius Walker. A good buddy of mine on the regional scene. We've competed with each other in jiu-jitsu for a couple of years and known each other for a while. And, it's just logical to get up there and surround myself with those type of athletes and those type of fighters. And so I went up there with him and his coach, Team Fusion, with Brad Montgomery, 2-degree black belt under Robert Drysdale. Really good guys. I worked really well with all of them, and I for sure in the future plan to go back up there and get some more work in with those guys. Then I can't forget my home squad here, American Elite in Edmond, Oklahoma. Always get good rounds in there and have a great coach, Matt Grice, UFC veteran, leading the way. And, I couldn't respect those guys even more than I do now. It's a blessing to have them a part of my career and team. And, just looking forward to getting in here, buddy.
Absolutely. And talk to me about Juice Box, Julius Walker. Obviously, he's been in 2 wars since joining the UFC, and his path definitely wasn't the easiest to get there. So talk to me a little bit about some of the experience that maybe you've been able to take away from him and instill into your own game.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. He's very knowledgeable. He's very intelligent when he speaks about, his transitions and his methodical approach. He has a very methodical approach to his game, and, just iron sharpens iron, getting in there, getting tough rounds in there with him, and, just dogging it out. And that's just making me 1% better because he's already at the show. If I can get in there and compete with him and, give him good rounds, I know that I'm heading in the right direction. And hopefully, we'll be in the same division one day in the UFC.
Absolutely. And a great guy to be working with. It's always good to spread your wings and, see a little bit more of what the MMA world has to offer. I know you've seen it throughout the IMMAF world. You've seen a lot of different people, coaches, techniques, and you've gained all of that experience. And obviously it's worked out pretty well for you so far in your professional career. I want to ask you a real quick question, diverting the conversation a little bit. I know you've been working with your kids in the gym a little bit. What's the last move you've taught them?
We've been actually working on sitting to a guillotine. We've been snapping the head down, working front headlock series, and sitting to a guillotine and finishing the guillotine is what we actually were just working at this morning. That's funny that you asked that.
Well, let's just put it out there. Maybe a little guillotine action might come to fruition in this upcoming fight you got.
Hey, that's right. You know, you never know. I'm ready. I'm ready in all aspects of the game, and you know, wherever I'm at in that position of that fight, you know, I'm always going to be threatening my sub attempts and threatening my strikes to open up my sub attempts, vice versa. So, you know, I'm just really excited to get back in the cage and test myself once again. My main event and fighting in front of my tribe at the casino that I work at. I've worked at there for 6 years now. You know, it's just such a blessing to be able so close to home, 20 minutes away from my hometown. You know, my hometown's going to be there. My entire tribe's going to be there. All of my casino coworkers are going to be there. So, you know, I'm really blessed with the opportunity and just really excited to get in there and do what I do best.
How many people can we expect to be there cheering for you?
I'm going to guess 4,000.
It sounds like I was going to say if you couldn't come up with a number, probably enough so that way you could hear it at home through the TV.
For a fact, you know, I think I've already sold $20,000 plus in tables. So I know that a lot of people are coming.
Well, for those of you that are not on the freight train, join in now. I mean, the bandwagon has left the station, and quite literally, you don't want to miss it. Gabe, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I can't wait to see your fight. I can't wait to continue to see your journey. I'd like to give you the floor now. Say whatever you'd like to the world and get anything off your chest that you have before this fight.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you to all my family, friends, and sponsors, haters. You know, I couldn't do it without you guys. You know, you're the reason that I get up every day and push myself to be 1% better. And to you, brother, thank you for giving us this platform. You know, it's really cool to, you know, like I always say, it's an honor to always be on your show. You're a great friend of mine, and I'm looking forward to watching your journey as well on your side. And I'm glad that we could get on here and do this again, brother.
I appreciate you as always. For everybody watching at home, don't forget to like, share, and leave some comments below. But this is Gabe, the Freight Train Rednose, 2-0 undefeated professional with an 100% career finishing rate. Not just professional, but amateur as well. He is a prospect to watch at the heavyweight, light heavyweight, and potentially the middleweight division as well. Definitely check out his fight on Peak Fighting. But for now, take care.